What's up, everybody? This is Dell. Welcome to an episode of Movie Theater Memories. This is the series where I talk about the most memorable movie theater experiences of my life. So today I'm going to talk about a movie near and dear to my heart, and this was actually requested. Um, I'm going to put the name of the person who requested it down here. I apologize for not remembering off the top of my head. And that movie, though, is The Matrix from 1999. And like a lot of movies, it starts with the trailer. I really, there was no like super duper hype leading up to the movie before the trailer came out anyway, right? I didn't hear about it, didn't hear anything. And I've never been a person who, hangs on to all the upcoming movie news. So what's coming out next year, I may not know about for a while. I'm one of the last people to know. And so I hadn't heard anything about this movie until I saw a trailer one day. And in the trailer, two things were featured in the trailer. Of course, we have Trinity, played by Carrie Ann Moss, and she does what's now become one of the most iconic things on the big screen. She jumped up in the air, she froze, the camera spun around, and then she kicked someone. So that was the first thing that caught my attention in the trailer. And then Keanu Reeves, who plays Neo, the star of the movie, you know, he's standing on a rooftop, and I don't know what's going on, right? I've never seen this trailer before. He's standing on a rooftop and somebody starts shooting at him, and then he kind of leans all the way back and he dodges the bullets. He does that thing. It looks really, really cool. And now I'm hooked. I gotta see this movie. I don't know what's going on in this movie. I don't remember any tidbits of the story from the trailer. And if they did, I don't think I picked up much on it. But those visuals, they hooked me. They got me in. So I made sure that opening weekend when the Matrix came out, I was sitting in the theater. My wife and I was sitting there. At that time, we had been married. We'd been married 2 years at that time, so it's been a while. And we found a babysitter that night, so it was just her and I. And yeah, my son was 2. My Was she pregnant? Yeah, she was pregnant. She was probably no, because this might have came out early in the year. But any event, we only had one child at the time. We now have three. And so yeah, we go to see the Matrix, and the Carrie Ann Moss scene, the Trinity scene, the jump up, spin around happens really, really early in the movie. If you're familiar with the movie, right? It's like the first 5 minutes. And then, of course, she not only does that, but then she takes off running away from the people who were chasing her. And she does that leap across rooftops from one rooftop to another. She goes down the stairs. She's tumbling. She pulls out the guns. And I'm already hooked. Then we get into the story. And the story, it's got this whole thing going on about how the machines have taken over and we're really just unaware of what's actually happening. We've been kept asleep. Very ironic. I'll get back to that in a minute. But we've been basically kept asleep all this time while the machines run the world and feed on us. And I'll not spoil too much. I've already seen the Matrix, but I still don't like to spoil too much. And basically, what we get Neo, uh, Keanu Reeves as Neo. He's the chosen one. Uh, they find him. Morpheus, played by Lawrence Fishburne, is the one who's looking for him. He finds him and brings him in out of the Matrix into the real world, and teaches him kung fu. And one another iconic scene where he goes,
I know Kung Fu.
and all that great stuff. And I did like this, like there's a plug on the back of my head. I was really referencing the plug on Keanu's head and all their heads. But anyway, all that stuff is great, but the story, the visuals are fantastic. The story pulls me in, and some of the things that was said by Agent Smith about humans being a virus, they kind of they struck a chord. And all through the movie, I'm just watching this movie. I'm enthralled with it, and I'm really connecting with it because yeah, even let's pretend we're before 2016 even, and even at that time, we just don't know as everyday regular citizens, regular people, everything that's happening in the world around us, right? We rely on others to give us information, and hopefully it's reliable information. And we can choose to believe that or not believe it and go against the grain, or we find someone else to believe who may fit our particular biases. And all of that is connecting with me as I'm watching this film. And the action is crazy, right? The visuals are crazy. I just watched this movie not that long ago. Most of it still stands up. It's a lot of CGI, actually, yes, and a lot of times CGI movies age poorly, but most of the CGI in The Matrix, in the original one, has aged really well. In fact, it's actually aged better than a lot of the CGI in the two sequels that followed it. Um, so and with those visuals, we got a lot of just iconic shots. We already mentioned two of them. We also, of course, three actually, because Trinity jumping across from one roof to the other was another major one. And then there's the fight with Morpheus and Neo when he's just learning that kung fu. And then there's the helicopter scene when they're rescuing Morpheus towards the end of the movie. And there's the hallway shootout just before that on the way to get Morpheus with all the bullets everywhere. Then there's the even just before that, the scene where Neo's got to get he needs some guns. So I need a lot of guns. And you get all the guns that come rushing onto the screen. So yeah, all those moments are iconic. And while sitting there, it's just washing over me. And I honestly, it was almost like my wife wasn't there 'cause I was so into this movie. And I'm sure we talked a bit during the showing of it. It's kind of what we do. I apologize to anybody who's ever been in the movie theater with me. We keep it down, and I try to, you know, she asks questions. I'm like, okay, stop, wait, it's coming to show. We do that kind of thing. We're not having full blown, just regular conversations. Um, but and I'm sure that happened during the movie when we were watching The Matrix. But none of that mattered to me. It was just all about what was happening on the screen and all of the ramifications or implications that it had on the real world, even as fantastic as um, that stuff on the screen was. And when I say fantastic, I don't mean good. I mean fantastic as in unbelievable, right? Some of fantasy. Um, and that's really what it was. And my particular sensibilities merging with my visual sensibilities merging with my thought process was just created something where the Matrix really quickly became one of my all-time favorite movies. It's still one of my all-time favorite movies. I go back to it every now and again, and yeah, the themes still resonate with me. And now we bring it forward to 2025, and it's so funny because the word that gets thrown around now, uh, which has been turned to mean anything not completely right wing. Everything else is woke, right? But if you go back to the origins of the word, and well, if you go back just to the regular word, the standard, you're just awake, you're not sleep. Well, bring it up to this movie, and it means aware. You're not just you're aware of what's going on in the world around you, and then that is where it originally became slang. If I'm woke, I'm aware of what's going on in the world around me. The wool is not easily pulled over my eyes, and I'm alert to what's happening. Right, move forward, and it's that word has been weaponized and villainized and demonized, and all of a sudden everything woke is bad. And not to get too political here, but just think about what that's saying, right? If you're aware of what is happening in the world around you and also have empathy for others, that's bad. And that's really what it boils down to when people are telling you, oh, it's woke, so it's terrible. They're telling you that if you are really aware of the world around you, you're aware of your surroundings and how the world affects you and how you affect the world, and you have empathy for others, compassion for others, that you're somehow a bad person. You're an evil person. You got an agenda to push. That just think about that. If you just you being aware is bad. So I'm going to leave that there. I'm not going to make this a whole political rant. We're going to stop there for that section of it. Suffice it to say, The Matrix is a fantastic movie. It's like I said, it's one that I return to over and over and over. I even when I do, I even watch the sequels. I watch the whole franchise. Yes, the others are not as good. I totally agree. There is some merit in all of them, even Resurrections, the fourth Matrix movie. I actually like it a lot more than a lot of other people, but it's that first one, that is the one that's the one that sticks with me the most. And even though there's some issues with it that I have, and one of the issues being it definitely leans hard into the white savior trope. If you look at most of the characters on the human side, we got a lot of minorities, a lot of black people in particular, and we get a few other people, and we had to go get this white guy to save humanity. And in this instance, I kind of give it a pass because the rest of the movie does stick with me so much. But the fact that that's what it's doing is not completely lost on me. Still, I go back to it all the time. So, and I'm sorry if that offends or bothers anybody, but that's what it is. Um, and again, I'm not. I don't knock the movie down. It's still one of my all-time favorites because of all of the things that are happening in the movie. Not not knocking it too much for that one particular thing. And then the other thing is that makes this movie go. Let's just to go back to a superficial surface level. I talked about the action, the visuals. As Keanu Reeves is the other thing, and it's Keanu Reeves precisely because he's not the greatest thespian in the world, right? He's not the greatest actor. He's not Denzel Washington. Um, he's not Daniel Day Lewis or anybody. But Neo is a character that fits what he does well. And one of the things he does well is he plays a guy who is kind of bewildered and learning things on the fly, and he and can still be overwhelmed a bit. So he has that that Keanu Reeves looks, and we get the whoa and that kind of thing. That all fits perfectly for Neo. Um, Will Smith was up for the role. I think it would have been interesting to have Will Smith in the role. We eliminate the white savior aspect of it, but I don't know that Will Smith's persona fits Neo. He's a wonderful actor. So I'm guessing he would have probably made a way to make it fit. But for Keanu Reeves, it was a natural fit. And all of those things combined made The Matrix one of my very favorite movie theater experiences. Nothing out of the ordinary happened, in the theater, but just what was happening on the screen. And I loved every second of it. That's all I have for you guys on this one. Thanks for hanging out with me. If you've been here before, thanks for hanging out with me again.